All right, Q&A time. I'm gonna get on the other side because I don't want to climb over and then completely topple over, smack my head on here and we'll be unconscious for the next 3 hours and probably get bummed in that bush. Q&A time. You have to excuse the awful barnet. I've got the worst case of helmet hair, including with a balaclava, that anyone has ever seen. So I do need a haircut, to be fair. First of all, Red Bull time. I did have 3 shots of espresso in my coffee maybe an hour ago, but whatever, I thought we're gonna have to go get a Red Bull from the Shell garage because it's kind of like the ritual, I hear. Damn, that is flipping good. Oh, not so good when it's on your phone. Get off. We've got more questions on YouTube on a short than everything combined together, which is surprising. I mean, I didn't think I'd get many questions, but we've got quite a few, right? Starting off on TikTok, we've got, I'm not Savan. Did I know penguins have knees? No. I think I'd probably assumed they had knees. Next, we've got Seb. Have you ever had a little crash yet? Yes, I have had a crash. I have had a crash. Yeah, I've had a crash on this very bike. I won't put the crash clip up, one, because it's not very much of a clip to even make head or tail of anyways. It's all upside down and the camera flew off the helmet. But yeah, I had a crash on here. I've spoken about it at length on a couple of other videos, kind of. It wasn't very nice. I only had helmet, gloves and boots on. Hip slammed straight into the floor, slid across, hit a curb, road rash, very bad bruising, and I've got a scar for it showing now. The tissue and the hip area still hurts now, and it's like 4 months on. So yes, that's kind of why I'm such an advocate for gear, because I'm like, if I fell off at 20, 30 miles an hour, and that's the pain that I felt, was out of action for at least days, to a degree anyway, and it got worse and worse and worse over the next few weeks. I don't even want to imagine what it's like at a national speed limit, for example, or even 40 miles an hour, and with cars behind you or coming towards you, you know? Joanne, why is it so hard to find neutral? There's a lot of other things that are also apparently hard to find. Do you know what, right? It is a pain to find neutral sometimes when the bike is playing up. But if you just stop smacking the crap out of the selector, it actually goes in all right. Neutral it goes into neutral. Anyway, rider anomaly. What's your biggest advice for any new rider in the UK? Do you know what? I would say don't take advice from a new rider would be my advice. I'm a new rider. I feel like that advice makes sense, but I'm also contradicting myself. Take that as you wish. Now, all seriousness, just don't try and take advice from the squids or the people that are just riding like absolute nutters. Ride your own ride. Don't try and fit in with people just because they seem cool on social media. Don't go and ride with these people when they're battering it everywhere when you're not, I'm assuming, not in their sort of caliber of riding. Just be safe. The safer you are and the more confident you get at being safe through that bit of experience, then you can dabble in a bit of sort of hooligan type riding or branch out into some sort of fun type of riding, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you get it. Now, Snapchatters, we've got Frosty. Favorite bike? I don't really have a favorite bike as such. It's kind of like R1, R6, R7, R3, just all those sort of like Yamahas, the later models with the nice DRLs at the front. They are like the top for me. I like the S1Ks and, you know, Jixers are all right, although I don't like the alien looking headlight at the front. CBRs look great for the most part. I even like the older Yamaha, so R6s and stuff like that. I think because my old man, I reference him so many times as if I even speak to him. I don't. Whatever, not that that makes any difference to your lives, but growing up, he always spoke of R1s that he had. I've only ever seen him on R1s. Any memory that I have from being tiny is him regarding an R1 or like one Ducati and a CBR. That's it. But for the most part, it was always R1s and his pals had R1s. So that's kind of like been instilled in me, and I think that's kind of a contributing factor as to why I like Yamaha so much. So favorite bike is just kind of any of the Yamahas like that, the more super sport type bikes. I don't care for the sport Taurus or anything like that at all, or the Nakeds. Look nice enough, but not my cup of tea. De jure? Why is your name RMV? Good question. RMV, right? My name is Mitch Vian, V-I-A-N. That username was taken on Instagram. My tag used to be Mitch Bitch, but the I's were an X. So it was MXTCH _ BXTCH. I kind of got to the point where at a time when I was trying to reach out to people to do like freelance work, it didn't seem very professional if I was to do that and have that as my username. So I thought, oh, I'll put my name. I couldn't take that because some Chinese don had his name in there, or her name in there. It's actually a girl. weirdly enough. So I just thought, well, I'll try real. And everywhere was available for me to have real Mitch Vian. So I was like, well, that's long as fuck. Especially if I got any codes, for example, My Protein, discount code RMV, and Huel, real Mitch Vian. It's abbreviated for. If anyone could think of a better name, like a name that's gonna sort of catch on and stick, this doesn't seem very safe, fucking hell. Then I'm open to suggestions. We've got Ava. Which bike would you recommend for a beginner rider? This, if I'm honest. No, actually, if I'm completely honest, maybe like a Yamaha MT. The one's a little bit more upright. I would say go with like a Yamaha MT 125, if that's the thing. I'm pretty sure it's a thing. Or KTM Duke, something like that, that's kind of renowned to be a little bit fun, somewhat reliable, but you've got more of your full turn circle. So obviously you'd have done your CBT to get on the road on a 125 in the first place, assuming you're in the UK. It looks like it's raining again. That's really annoying if it starts raining again. This is gonna be the third or fourth time I've had to flip in scout spots out in this town to not get pissed on. Pause. You're gonna wanna practice your U-turns and stuff like that if you're riding on your 125 and you go into like a car park or something like that, or a safe-ish area like this industrial estate, for example. Ideally, you wanna practice things like your U-turns, and if you can keep your full circle, that'd be great. And then when it comes to doing your mod 1, you're probably going to have that much more practice underneath your belt to make sure you've got U-turns on demand. You're not going to put your foot down. Sounds hypocritical, but I've done my mod 1 before. I've ridden 600s and I'm okay. U-turns aren't too bad on this. Granted, I probably wouldn't do it in my test on this very well, but I'm not going to do my test on a 125. Onto the Instagram ones. We've got Lindsay Martin 16. What's my favorite tattoo I've got? I think most people assume it's the tiger on my throat. It's not. And I don't really have a favorite tattoo. I don't know if there's, I mean, there is a way of me putting all my tattoos I've got on the screen, but that's fucking long. I can't be asked to do that and find all the pictures. I feel like I don't have a favorite, but every time I think of, oh, do I have a favorite? I'm always drawn to the wolf on my left hand. I didn't get that tattoo on my hand because my dog I had was like mostly wolf. It was called a Utenagen. Not the name, but the breed. So it's like half wolf, half husky essentially, but for some reason my dog was like more wolf. But yeah, Utenagen, you can look him up. After I got the tattoo, I was like, yeah, it's kind of like a bit of sort of sentimental value there, because my dog was like, called Nala, more wolf than dog, and it's a wolf, and you know, 2 and 2 together. Absolutely not the reason why I got it, you know, but whatever. But I'll say we'll go with the wolf if I had to pick a favorite for this video. Retro 5? Have I got any riding tips for someone new to the R125? Look after the bike, learn how to maintain it properly. Again, I sound very hypocritical. And don't rag the shit out of it. Everyone I see and have heard of that's blown the engines on these, even at lower mileage, they're all ragging the fuck out of the bike. Have fun, but don't sit there and rev the nuts off it and redline and stationary to show off in front of your friends. It sounds like shit no matter what you do, and I know this is coming from someone that's had straight pipe MX-5s as they were a younger driver, right? I know you kind of like the idea of having a very loud bike and car, but I promise you, even with the mentality of not caring about what other people think and just, you know, it's your fucking life, do what you want, it sounds like shit. It sounds like crap, okay? So you don't need to be revving the hell out of it. Stock or with an exhaust, right? And it should survive. Other than that, have fun. Because you're on a bike that looks the fucking bee's knees, even when they're standard, especially for a 125, and you're learning. I suck at this, about enjoying the process of things, because I'm too busy being focused on the end goal. I'm gonna say enjoy the bike, because the amount of people I see in my comments as well that have got good bikes, big bikes, they all miss their little YZF 125. Sure, they probably wouldn't go back to it, but it's always something that they enjoyed owning. And even me, when it comes to selling this, I probably will be like, oh, it was a cool bike. So that's my tip, is enjoy it. Harry Sulker, what's my complete riding history, start to finish? This, essentially, this is it. This is my experience, start to finish. I rode a quad bike, off-road, like just a normal rev and go thing, like 100cc, when I was like 13 on a little field. I've ridden BMX for a while, so I guess my balance is kind of somewhat good because of that, if you can even apply that to motorbikes. I rode old friends, actually here, for the first time I ever rode a motorbike and on the road, was outside of where I used to work. He got me on his bike and was like, yeah, just like told me the controls. He was like, try to pull off, and I pulled off. And then I think the following weekend, he got me on the back of his bike. That was great. Come down here to this industrial estate. I'll try and overlay a video if I can find it somewhere. And I was just like cruising up and down and not doing U-turns as such, but you know, I was like doing a turn in the road making use of the space without putting my foot down, and got to like third gear and going up and down and using the gears and shit like that. After that, the next bit of riding was my CBT, and the next day was a little bit of 125 riding on the road, then some 650 on a Kawasaki Z650. Yeah, did that for a couple of days, did my Mod 1, Mod 2. Obviously, we already know I failed the Mod 2, hence why I'm back here. Did the CBT again, but I did my CBT on the same Kawasaki Z650 because they recognized me and knew I could obviously use the bike. That's it. And then this is the bike. That's all I've got. I've sat on bikes. That's it. I rode a mini Moto when I was like 7 or 8, I think, or something like that. And I got a disgusting scar on my hand and had all my hand ripped open because the bike was shit and broken and I fell off, and that was my fault entirely. And all my dad did was shout at me for crashing the bike rather than, holy fuck, your hand's ripped open and pissing blood everywhere. I'm sure he'll say he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know, but you would think to check over your kid that's just stacked it on a mini motor that's like a fucking, I don't know, like 2 foot off the floor high. Anyway, a little bit of trauma dump there for you. Next, when are you getting your license done? I'm in two minds whether to wait until YouTube eventually pays me. We are still a little bit away from getting monetized. Wait until YouTube pays me, save up all the money from that and put that towards doing my tests. Pay for the tests by selling this bike, which I'm on the verge of doing anyways, and going down that route, or just saving my own cash and doing it. Either way, probably in the next few months. It depends really on the weather, because I've got to do my Mod 1, Mod 2. Theory's done, CBT's done, hence why I can ride this. Mod 1 is just going to be a walk in the park, you'd like to hope. And you'd like to hope the same for the Mod 2, but I don't want to do them in the freezing cold. I wouldn't even want to do it in the weather that it's in now with a little bit of rain and it's really cold. So maybe no later than, let's say, February, something like that. But I'm going to have enough videos, as far as I'm aware, to keep posting every week until next year. Now, by that point, I might not be posting bike vlogs like on the road as such, but I might have another bike, you know? So for example, I'd have to check insurance again, but I might have like an R6 ready for when I do my test. You know what I'm saying? So in the next few months, I'd like to hope I've done my tests, or they are at least booked. I hadn't bothered doing it because they were fully booked up and I didn't have the money to just spank on doing my tests. You know, I don't want to doubt myself that I would fail, but if I did fail and lost out on, say, £1,000 to do a DAS course again, that £1,000 could have gone on the bike, which I did spend on the bike, and that's been a better use of my time and money so far. Hope that makes sense. Pat, why? I've copy and pasted all the questions onto my notes, right? Patchworks, does it clap? Serious question, what's your gym routine? That's a good question. What's my gym routine? My gym routine is essentially borderline a bro split, but for the most part it's PPL, push-pull split, push-pull legs, whatever you want to call it. I train on basically like an 8-day interval sort of thing. I like to hit my muscle groups twice in an 8-day period. Chest, back, arms, if they're not feeling sore as fuck, shoulders, legs, and then repeat the process. And then depending on which is feeling more sore than the other, it might be chest, back, shoulders, arms, or chest, back, legs, arms, shoulders. If my legs are still feeling fucked, then I'll either have a rest day or just do cardio or figure something out. MT10 Rob, what do I like the most and what do I hate the most about vlogging, and what's my dream bike? 2 questions there, getting a bit greedy. What's my dream bike? I guess like it's not my favorite bike. I'd say an R6. I don't care for an R1 because I don't want so much power. I don't want something that's so able to be scatty from the get-go. An R6, I like the fact that they're somewhat nimble, they're a bit lighter, and they are powerful, but the power is so much higher up in the RPMs, you know? So I could probably, if I wanted to have some more fun once I'm eligible to do so, I've acquired the experience and skills to do so, I could sit there and go between the gears and keep the revs high and stuff like that. There's a bit of power much higher up if I was to, for some reason, exceed the speed limit on a track, let's say. Now, all seriousness, an R6, maybe an R7, depending on the money. You know, if I had the money to get an R7, but couldn't afford an R6 because maybe they're 3-4K more, then I get an R7. That's kind of the caliber of bikes that's kind of, I guess, a dream bike, but I don't really see it as a dream. It's just kind of the next step. And then what do I like and hate the most about vlogging? I don't really hate anything about vlogging. I hate not being able to dedicate so much time to editing the vlogs, because that's kind of like at the top of my list of things that I want to be successful with. Growing an audience via my vlogs on YouTube and stuff like that, hopefully becoming paid relatively soon to post them. A lot of my goals will stem from being some sort of accomplished or established in like the vlog scene, whether that's in the bike niche, the vlog niche, personal brand sort of influencer. I never want to class myself as an influencer, but right now it's the easiest way to label it when I don't know which sort of trajectory I'm going to be going up towards, you know what I'm saying? So that's about the only thing I hate, is not being able to put so much time into, because I end up having so many hours like accumulated throughout a day of riding to edit. It takes so much longer than a normal vlog would, typically. The thing I like most about it is knowing that I've got something to go and look back on, you know? Even when I was making silly little vlogs that got 30 views or 20 views or 50 views, whatever, just pottering around the house, like I will watch stuff back and I make myself laugh, and I know that my girlfriend's laughed at them, and maybe, I guess that's kind of it. Just being able to bring, if not value, but a form of entertainment for someone to just even brighten their hour or their day for like a hot second, you know? That's kind of it. Being like a beacon of like resourcefulness, however you apply that to yourself. Answers are really getting a bit lengthy, I do apologize. If you could have a dream garage of your top 5 bikes, what would they be? Whatever it's called, the newer Shape R6, we'll go with an R1 as well, because why not? And then the old sort of R1 for nostalgia as a ute, and my old man riding it. Is it the 5EB R1? Like a blue one of those, but I'll probably get it spray painted in like this sort of very bright orangey pink color that he had done his. And a Ducati 996, again for nostalgia as a kid, because that's what he had. And an old, is it Smoking Joe's Fireblade? Again for nostalgia. Do I care about those bikes? Do I really want to ride them? No, but they're cool bikes to look at. I always thought they were cool as a kid. I think they're cool now. And yeah, bit of personal nostalgia. That question was by RK Dubs. Anton Rouse 1196. How should I properly practice balance? I did my CBT, but they stopped me because of it. Now, whenever I say to people you can't fail a CBT unless you ride like a complete flipping moron, that is also something that could obviously occur, is your balance not being good. Therefore, you probably might not have even gotten taken on the road, or they might have had to pull you back ASAP. So my question to you, as my answer, is, do you have much experience with riding even bicycles? A kind of sort of tone might have sounded a little bit bitchy or arsey towards you. That wasn't the case. But if you don't, I suggest getting on even a mountain bike and just going for a lot of rides. And if, say, you come between like railings, like let's say you're going onto a public field and you've got to go through railings, try and stay on your bike, use your brakes and utilize your balance, go in and out of them. I think because I was so used to doing stuff like that and riding skate parks and stuff on a BMX, my balance was so much better than the average person that had to learn how to ride a bike from scratch. I'm assuming that's probably the case. So maybe, yeah, just get on a pedal bike, practice your balance that way around. That's really all I can suggest. Marcus3374, do you like the new Slaughter to Prevail album? Isn't that like a metal band? I don't know if maybe you asked me if what my thoughts are on it, because I listened to, I don't know, Slipknot, for example. I've heard of who this band is. I can't put a song to the band name. There's nothing I know. So I don't know. I don't have any thoughts on it. Hopefully it's good for you though. Hopefully you enjoy it. R32-VW, best 125 in my opinion. Also, love your videos, mate. Thank you very much. You better not ever give me a dislike, otherwise you will get a tail whip to the ankles. Obviously not on this, with like a scooter or something. Best 125 in my opinion. I'll go with this all round. It's gonna sound so biased because I have one, but it's just what my thoughts were even before I bought it. For the money, for the looks, for what speed you have in comparison to other 125s. All round, it just seems like probably the best 125. I'm sure there's better options than this if you were to, I think my back, God damn, my back is fucking not feeling great. I think if you were to spend a lot of money on a newer bike, maybe get one of these, but there may also be better options out there. But it's just as 125s as a whole goes and you consider every factor, then I would say this. The Gen 1 R125, maybe the Gen 2, depending on the price of those. At least then you got like the gear indicator, I believe. Greylex FN, favorite motorbike content creators. I saw your question and I actually thought, you know what, I need to look through my subscriptions on YouTube and see who I even watch. I don't really have a favorite bike content creator. There was a guy, I'm gonna see if I can find it now. There's a guy who I've not seen any of his videos for ages on YouTube, but I went down a rabbit hole of watching him, and he's in America, and he would basically buy like Jigsaws and CBRs, and he's done like a very low mileage Yamaha R6, like a yellow one I think it was before, and he would just basically replace a few bits and bobs, get bikes for a good price and flip them, make some money on them. He's not posted in ages. I think this is it here. Elucia as fuck. The last time, I mean, it says that I didn't watch all the videos, but it's probably because I watched them on my laptop. Elucia as fuck, 64.6k subscribers. Is that gonna focus? This guy, he basically drives, I think it's like a hybrid car he's got, rents a trailer, gets the bike for a good price, chucks it on, fixes them up, spends a bit of cash and time, and makes money. And his content is very good. I like that. He kind of, I keep seeing, am I getting spiders on me from somewhere? It makes it seem very easy for people to do what he's doing, which I guess it is. It almost entices you to just give it a go with what he does. So I like his stuff. As I say, I don't really have a favorite bike creator. Thought Taken, arguably, he's, from what I have seen glimpses of, sure, he's probably posted some questionable thirst trappy type content, but I really don't give a fuck about that in the slightest. I'm not gonna say you gotta do what you gotta do, but at the end of the day, if you've got a physique to show off, and if that is your almost one-way ticket to getting a big audience rapidly at a time where that was kind of like a popular thing, thirst trapping, girls, Biketok and all that, it is what it is, you know. It's not like he's sat there fucking sending wiener pics to kids like some of the weirdos are in America. Oh my. Thought Taken, I like his stuff. If he ever sees this, some of his stuff is a little bit gimpy, a little bit like of a sort of wet fart take, you know? But he's considerably younger than me. Perhaps he's not been brought up in any sort of like gritty kind of areas or anything like that at all. So that might be why. But he seems like a very nice, polite lad. I like his content. I like the visuals, the audio. It's all done very well, but it's also still very authentic and raw. He offers some very mature insights as well when he's just waffling about his experiences in life. There's a lot to learn from him. He's very open with his mistakes and experiences as well. And of course, he's got some fucking sick bikes. I was waffling on about it in today's vlog. He's got the newer, as far as I'm aware, R6 is like just for tracks, but he's had it modified and put headlights in and stuff like that, or whatever he had to do to make it road legal. And he's got the R9, picked up a Triumph Daytona, is it a 675 or something like that? Then he's got the little Grom and then a few other bits and bobs. He's had S1Ks and God knows what else, so he's a good one. And then you've got Fusion, UK lad. There's some stuff that just doesn't really float my boat. But at the end of the day, you don't have to like everything about someone. I'm sure if he watched any of my stuff, he might fall asleep to half of my stuff, and there might be the other thing that I say that he might find funny, or might be like, yeah, cool. So yeah, Fusion's a good one in the UK. Keeps it relatively real from what I can see on his videos, and that's all I can think of off the top of my dome. There's a couple TikTokers that make some pretty cool stuff. Groovy Cycle, I think his TikTok is. I can't get it on this phone. Without sounding zesty, like I don't like watching him dance, but I think the ability of what he can do with his dancing, like he is a good dancer. He's not just doing normal dorky TikTok dances. He's got a sick physique from what I recall. His bikes are sick. His whole sort of like aura that he's got where he's stacked it and now he's sort of fixed himself back up, got back to doing what he was doing best. That's all cool. Another guy with a CBR, maybe I'll try and put like an overlay of a clip of him. He's jacked as fuck, just become an IFBB pro bodybuilder. I think he rides a CBR or something like that. And then there's a guy in Japan on TikTok, right? In Tokyo, I think it is. He's got an H2. And he's the one that I got the poster boy edit idea with the text in the background and stuff like that. He's got some sort of funky hair. He just looks like a fucking sick character out of some like crazy film or game. His bike looks sick. He dresses sick. He looks sick as a fucking geezer. So yeah, that's it. Anyways, forking out onto the next one. Harshvud Hanbanjir 6672. Apologies if that's not how you say your name. I'm going to call you Harsh, right? Harsh. Advice to a 20-year-old broke, depressed guy. I saw your comment, and I actually believe I replied to it in like a short answer, because to put it very bluntly and morbidly, you might not have had a response in fucking 2 hours of that being up. I think I saw it within 2 hours, and be like, oh, I've been aired. And that was like the final straw for you, like, kind of unaliving yourself. As a 20-year-old broke, depressed guy, stop feeding the negative, gloomy sides of your life. Stop relating to sad, depressing, mopey songs, TikToks, films or whatever, or reading quotes, and feed what little ounce of positivity you have, even if it's a flipping flatline zero. Start forcing motivational or positive stuff into your life. Even if it's an account where it's like mindset, motivation TikToks, right? And you've got all these sick cars or like spots in Miami or travel locations with like, I don't know, Dancer Kuduro playing in the background, and there's like a, I don't know, me and bro in 2027 or something like that. Or dare I say, go watch a Tate podcast or something, you know? If I was to ever label a time of my life where I was the most down or not really getting past anything in my life, it was way before the Tates had blown up. But when I first encountered their stuff, and I was just like, who is this bold bloke yelling at me on the phone? It was before the Mr. Producer song was ever a thing. It was before Top G was a thing. Either way, this guy, bald guy with sunglasses, yapping on the screen all the while, and I ended up seeing all his YouTube stuff, kind of flipped my mentality a complete 180 degrees. Start feeding yourself with more positivity. Get in the gym. If you're too scared to get in the gym, I don't know, maybe you're fat, maybe you just care about what everyone thinks. Do some push-ups, go for walks, get in better shape. You need a side hustle to obviously make a little bit more money. If you've got a job, great. If you need more money because that job isn't paying you enough, start a side hustle. TikTok Shop is got to be one of the most easiest things to try and get into. Even if you're making an extra £5 a week, £10 a week, that's better than no extra money. It's a scalable side hustle at the end of the day. If you don't want to do that, there's flipping as well. Axe Janix, how do you manage riding through the winter in the UK? In my experience, the RSD gear is great, but not good for rain, winter. Any tips? Now that we're getting into much colder weather, it's probably about 7 degrees today, and I've experienced about 3 lots of rain. Yes, this RSD gear is not the greatest for 1, feeling warm, 2, being protected by rain, from the rain. Protected from the rain, yeah. But I already knew that. It's perforated, is it? So my experience in riding in the winter is it fucking sucks. Absolutely sucks. I've not felt my toes, not with my hands, but like I've not been able to feel them properly because they're so cold. Since I left the house this morning, which was about 11 something AM, it's now about to hit 4 PM. Chillin M2H, what 125 would you recommend for a new rider? I've already answered that to someone else. I would honestly just say this or the MT. Just to make it simple. MT, at least you kind of got your full turning circle if you're going to practice maneuvers, U-turns, stuff like that, you know. Shrek the Ogre Lord. Anyway, I can get a running or easily repaired bike for under 1400. Any tips for what to look for? Check the MOT history on a bike. Check what that bike goes for as a normal working bike with identical mileage on Auto Trader, Gumtree, and Facebook Marketplace and eBay. And then compare all of those results to the bike that you were looking at. If you obviously wanted to find something cheap, Facebook is probably your best bet. eBay is okay because sometimes you can get things that are borderline crash damage that are repairable and not even on the register, and people are just selling them privately. Maybe they just weren't put on the register and they bought the bike back with insurance, got a payout, and they don't want to get back on the bike, for example, assuming it had been crashed rather than the engine failed or something. Ahmed IR fan 8649, does washing our bikes harm the oil in the chain or the electronics? Realistically, you want oil or lubricant, a lubricant or some sort on your chain that's essentially not going to allow any water that goes on it to rust your chain and impact it like that. Sure, over a long period of time, that's probably not going to last forever, and eventually it's going to get through the grease and ruin your chain, but you'd have already cleaned the chain and re-greased it by then anyway. As for the electronics, for the most part, these things like electronics should have like seals and be securely clipped in together to prevent water from getting in them. That being said, you still don't want to be spraying a jet wash directly at your plug, you know? You don't need to be OCD about how clean a plug is. So don't spray directly onto electronics. I've not even jet washed this bike yet. Henrik GN7YD, how did you get the means to buy all of your vehicles?
Good question, Aguado.
So from memory, my first 2 cars was an MX-5 Mark II 1.8 VVT, and the second one that I got, because the first one ended up seizing, was an MX-5 Mark 2.5 with a welded diff and a few other bits and bobs from a lad that I knew of. It was a 1.6 VVT as well, I think. At the time, those MX-5s were able to be bought quite cheap compared to what you would have to pay now. What I paid maybe 1.4K back in the day for the Mark 2.5 would probably go for 3-4K now. And that's saying something, because that was a nail as well. Then on my journey of GTIs, I basically got to the point where I was adamant that every one that I sold, I would profit from, and I would get the money back from the mods. I also would kind of be quite meticulous with the maintenance and stuff like that, and make the car be more worthy for someone to buy, and I'd kind of buy something that just needed a bit of time spent on it rather than money, and kind of went to the next one, then the next one, and then found myself in a position where I could get something a bit cheaper, got to the next one, got my white one that most people know me for, that was bagged. It come with rotiforms, the air ride, R32 exit, and some shit stage 2 map on it. And it was just really run down apart from that, and needed, like, whether the lad knew it or not, needed a lot of work and things debodging and stuff like that, which is crazy, the weird bodges that are on there. Of course, I bought mods, put them on there, but I managed to find all these mods cheap and just traveled a bit and got them. And it got to the point where I was making notes of, like, the cost of fuel, the cost of hotels when I was going to shows, the cost of the mods and the fuel to get to the mods, cost of the car, stuff like that. I ended up getting all that money back and profiting a good bit on top, and then having mods to sell once I got rid of that white GTI. Then I went and bought another one, stripped that, took a load of parts off of that, left it with the bags and the map and stuff like that, sold that. And yeah, I just kept applying the same concept each car, really. That's always what I'm like. Every time I try and buy something, I'm always like, how can I get this for cheaper than what I need to really be paying it for? Unless it's like this bike where I'm like, I don't care, I want it now, I'll get it. I know I'm going in paying a little bit more than it realistically should be, but that's my choice. And it's not like I wouldn't pay 3K for this, but 2K, I'm not gonna haggle £200 and then possibly not end up getting the bike. It made no sense. Sham 91.2, you sound like a radio. Do you feel free while riding the bike? Like all your worries just washes away? No. One, I don't think about my worries or anything at all, which I guess would be yes to your answer. But I don't think of my worries until when I'm riding the bike because I'm too busy trying to survive and not get wiped out by some randomer on the road, which is a task in itself. My worries that I have are too strong to forget about. Even if I had no worries, let's say another gaff was sorted, my money is sorted, my girlfriend is fine, maybe I've gotten her out of a job, my mum's okay. I'm always going to be having these things stuck in the back of my mind no matter what I do, where I'm like, oh, I could have been doing something else with this time that would then lead to much more of a net positive, doing XYZ, more money, more accomplished in whatever it is. So no, the bike doesn't really help me like forget my worries or issues or what's going on, because I know the moment I get on and off of this bike, they're still going to be there. There's always something to do. Like today, yes, I plan my workouts accordingly, but I've not worked out today. Sure, I'll probably burn a few measly calories riding the bike. Sure, my legs are going to probably be worked out to a degree, but it's not going to the gym, and I always feel better going to the gym. Even now, I'm waffling on. I'm 10 minutes later than what I wanted to be. I wanted to have been gone from here by now. As I'm doing this video, I'm like, I was supposed to be back ready editing the vlog by now. For some people that maybe, I don't know, they hate their job, their mum called them a fat wanker, and now they're just going out for a ride because they're pissed off with them. Maybe that could help. That's not really a category I fall into. Swap Neil Saha XE. Thoughts on cafe races? I saw your question. I don't have a fucking clue what you're on about. If there's retards racing outside cafes, then I think they're retards. That's it. I want to call you Nesh Singh 3568 because I don't want to completely fumble your name. I'm looking to buy a bike myself, but my parents are against it. I've tried everything to convince them, but nothing seems to work. What could I possibly say or do that could make them flip their stance? I would say there is nothing that could make them flip their stance at all, really. They're never gonna be like, actually, yeah, get a bike. I think you should get a bike. That'd be really good for you, because it's not. Every time you get on a bike, you gotta bear in mind that there's a massive chance you're gonna die, to put it bluntly. Yes, you could die walking to the shop, walking to work, driving to work. You could die sat there in your room. You could fall off your fucking swivel chair, smack your head off the side of a radiator, and that's it. No one finds you, and you've got a bleed in your brain, and that's it, game over. But for the most part, we're being a bit more realistic, and you're much more inclined to be unalived on a bike on the roads than you are if you just drive somewhere. So that's that. Get out of your idea that they're never gonna be like, yeah, get a bike, it's great idea. I would say maybe get some gear before you get on a bike. Look, I've got protective trousers and jacket. If God forbid I did come off, at least my skin's gonna be safe. I might have a few bruises or something. That's it. You could prove to them day after day after day after day, if you just go and get a bike, you survived. You've got no crashes, no knocks, no nothing. You could film your stuff and make videos, and they can see your riding. I feel like my mum, whenever she sees my riding, doesn't ever think, he's a nutter. And I don't mean doing insane high speeds on the dual carriageway or the motorway, but I could ride like a complete gimp through town, but I don't. I don't owe it to anyone to ride sensibly. I just ride sensibly. That's it. I would like to be alive. Might sound dumb, why are you on a bike then? All I can say is just prove it to them that you're gonna be sensible, and they'll probably moan at you less. That's it, that's all I've got. I'm not gonna go back onto the videos and posts that I made asking for questions, but that's the Q&A wrapped up. I feel like that might be a little riveting. Hopefully not. I would like to do more Q&As in perhaps a better environment, you know? Soon enough, we might have a little garage. Could have some funky little lights on the background, a little bit more intimate, not like with Mid Johnson hanging out or anything weird like that. I mean intimate like we're closer together and it's like, we're a bit more of a chilled setting rather than me trying to frantically hurry up and think of everything I was trying to think of and get this done before I get pissed on by the fucking rain again. Hopefully that was some sort of good use of your time watching this. Do you know the terrifying thing is imagine if the phone wasn't filming this whole time or the mic had turned itself off or died. That would be really annoying because I'd have to do it all again and I can't do it today. But yeah, Q&A over. Is it Luke from Young LA? End video.